Hi, so today I wanted to talk about something which is very personal. I'm going to talk about relationships. So I get questions very frequently from people. I feel like it's fine. I get questions very frequently from people asking me advice on relationship stuff, which is very surprising to me. And actually, most of my friends always ask me for advice on relationship things, which is very strange, given that I have so little experience. But and so I just wanted to chat a little bit with you on that, getting a bit more personal, actually maybe the more personal I've ever been on this channel, I don't know. So I kind of wanted to discuss about how I have evolved and like how my perception of love perhaps has changed. I guess I don't really know. And the struggles that I face and stuff. So you know that I am someone who hasn't been in too many relationships, and you know that I'm someone who's not a big fan of relationships, and I'm someone who's perfectly happy being single. I actually think that the natural and the most like beneficial thing for me, and the one status I guess you could say that's most like that works out the best with me and my personality and my life, is singlehood. But anyway, it does not mean that I can't form relationship with people, that I can't have feelings for people, and that I can't fall in love sometimes even. Ooh, big surprise. And I'm someone who is a very, I don't really know if I'm passionate. I would say I'm kind of passionate, but also very cold and reasonable and sensible, I think. But I definitely see a big difference in how now I perceive or imagine or deal with my attractions and my possible relationships or interactions with people. We will not go as far as saying when I say relationships, I really mean any kind of interaction with people that's a bit, you know, constant. Like, I don't necessarily mean a romantic relationship, and when I say romantic relationship, it does not even necessarily mean what most people would consider a romantic relationship. I feel like if you have romantic feelings for someone that you see very frequently and that you share things with, even if it's platonic, even if there's no name put on it, it's still a romantic relationship, at least in your mind. It probably is, so that's what I would consider it to be, but that's something else. So when I was younger, I definitely was someone who would who would have those big, I would say, attraction, adoration, infatuation things for people. I would be attracted to people who were really superior to me in a way or another, maybe because they were more successful. And I really want to say that it's not about money. When I say successful, it's more the way they would deal with things, the way they would go with their lives, or the things they would have achieved, whether it would be, you know, a big project of theirs or anything like that. It really does not have anything to do with money. Or maybe because they were more independent, or maybe because they were meaner and colder, and in that way I felt like, you know, I was kind of inferior for, you know, positive and negative reasons. I was attracted to people who were superior to me, or that I thought were superior to me, because it really doesn't mean anything. And so I would, you know, fall into this form of like, I really respect you, I admire you, I even sometimes perhaps adore you, and I would keep on having those feelings for years. You know, the first time it happened, I was 14, and it lasted until I was like 18, almost 19, with someone who was living in another country, someone that I've never actually met, someone that would lie to me all the time and stuff, and still it did not bother me too much, apparently. I'm cold. And that's how it worked for me at that time. And then the second time it happened, I was like 18 actually, and it lasted until I was maybe 22, 23, so that's a long time as well. And so I had this thing where it would always be a very unrequited form of love, because I'd never wanted to act on it, because I never felt worthy of the love, because I never really wanted to be in a relationship with those people. Actually, they were so positive and so wonderful and so amazing in my eyes that I felt like those people were not people I could be in a relationship with. And I also think that I was very attracted to beauty, a beauty that was very cold and very unattainable and very inhuman in a way, I suppose you could say. And then it really changed, but that was not a natural change. I think I really had to work on myself, and that's the one thing I really want to address in this video. I think it's just that we tend to think that love and desire and attraction are natural things that are given to us and are ready to act on as we first meet them, when we grow into teenagehood, or that kind of stuff. But a lot of this is things that we have learned. We have watched movies, we have listened to songs, we've read books, we've seen our parents, our friends, our family. We have heard discussions and what's considered nice and desirable by most. And we also have our own trauma and our own struggles and personal past experiences that definitely shape the way we interact with people and the way we desire people. And I decided to deconstruct a lot of this, and I decided to analyze a lot of this, because I kind of placed myself at one point. I just sat back and thought, is it really what I want to be attracted to people who are older, more powerful, that are mean, that are cold, that I can't be with, that I can't have a discussion with being relaxed and comfortable and feeling like I can say anything I want to say? And I was like, actually, that's not what I want. It really isn't. And do I want to be always put in this spiral of infatuation where I'm like almost ready to sacrifice anything for someone? That's not what I want, and that's not a very healthy way to see relationships. And so I did a lot of work with my therapist, and I also did a lot of work on myself, trying to open my mind and to really in an introspective work, look at myself and what I really like and what I really wanted and what kind of things I really wanted. And that's how and when I realized that, first of all, I was really happy being single. I realized that I had a high potential to love people. That's I can't deny it. But I also have, a very high expectation, and that's fine. And I think I've always had a very high expectation, the cold, beautiful, powerful, whatever person. But I shifted the high expectation. Now I really want to be with someone that I really love. Like, the only reason why I would be with someone would be because I really love them, because they really bring me something, because I really can bring something to them, because it really adds something to my life. If that's just something that's okay, fine, and enjoyable, that's not interesting to me personally. So it helped me be so much more independent, really. And it also helped me meet people that I actually felt comfortable with, and that I actually was able to interact with in a way that I never thought would be possible for me. And so I had to deconstruct so many things that I thought were natural, and things that I thought I really liked and I really wanted, that actually I did not want and I did not even care at all for. And my self-worth and my self-appreciation really increased at that moment. Because honestly, I had such a bad image of myself, and I had such a low confidence. And you can't, I hate this saying, if you don't love yourself, no one's going to be able to love you back, or whatever. It really is shitty. It's bullshit. I don't believe in that. But I definitely think that being independent, knowing yourself, and having a good self-esteem and a good relationship with yourself is amazing, and really, really helps creating healthy, pairing, and beautiful relationship with people. And I've also realized that, hiding things, and I mean that's obvious, but I think we all do it. Hiding things and trying to play games and trying to be polite and not too, too talkative and not too emotionally involved was something that was definitely not for me. And so after a while, it happens very rarely, but if I were to meet someone that I would find attractive, that I would get along well with, I would be very honest and upfront about things, because people that are not ready to listen to you and people that are not ready to accept your feelings, your emotions, you know, as long as they're not toxic ones, obviously, they're not worth your time. Like, I don't want to have to hide how I feel. I don't want to hide if I'm scared, if I'm like worried about something. I really want to be able to share those things, and that's something I was definitely not able to do in the past. I would always worry that someone would get mad at me, that someone would leave me for no reason. I was very afraid of being rejected and abandoned, I think, and that's something I still struggle with a little bit. I have to be honest, I struggle with it deeply, and as I said, that's my personal experience. That's things, you know, that happen in my family, and I don't think I'm ever gonna be totally free of those things, but I've definitely come a long way. And when I was younger, I definitely had this image that love was this very natural, almost instinctive thing that you would not have to think about, and you would not have to build, that you would not have to reflect on. And that's, I think, something many people have, like the idea that love is like this and you don't have to work on it, you don't have to think of it, you don't have to analyze it, you don't have to basically do anything, just feel, and that's natural. I think most of us share this conception of love, and that's definitely one of the most harmful things that I had ingrained in my mind, because it prevented me from analyzing things that I was doing that were hurtful to others as well, or hurtful to me, or that were not actually doing me any good, or, you know, it really prevented me from facing my true desires, my true expectation, my true hopes. And also it prevented me from being myself fully and just being able, therefore, to give people something that was really valuable. Because quite frankly, when I was younger and I was just looking for someone that would be so superior to me, what would I give? You know, in that position and in that mindset that I had, I was not offering anything. I was not giving anything to these people. I was just giving a very very plain, almost just too clean version of myself, and that was not. I don't think people are attracted to this. People who are really gonna love you and people who are really gonna care about you, they're attracted to someone who's real, someone who has, you know, who is full, who is vibrant, I think. And, you know, it was a really good thing for me, but also for potential partners or potential people that I would meet. And also, you know, one big thing really was the question of gender when I was younger, even though I knew, and I found it very strange to think they were gay and straight people, because I actually thought, you know, everyone's bi, but no one's really, but people are not really saying it, because it seemed so bizarre to me that, you know, what would define, I don't know, it just felt weird for me. Maybe every bi person feels that way. I'm not saying, you know, obviously that straight and gay people are lying or whatever, but when I was little, that's how I felt. But even though, you know, even this thing, I'm still working on it a lot. You know, it took me years to be like, okay, I actually like girls. It took me years to understand that, you know, the feelings I had, or like the emotions, or perhaps the crushes or whatever I had on girls, were things that were romantic or emotional, or, you know, that were the same basically as the ones I had for guys. It took me years to understand. The feelings were always there, but it's just to understand really took some time. And then to, even now, the one thing I'm struggling with right now is to, and that's so biphobic to say, but it's just because, you know, we live in a society that's very oppressive and puts a lot of pressure on us. But when I imagine my future in a relationship, for some reason it's harder to imagine it with a woman or with a girl, because it feels like it wouldn't be as real as with a man. And that's just disastrous to think like that, you know, especially as a bi person. Like, what's wrong? But, you know, I'm like aware now that I've done a lot of work on myself, of all the work that I still have to do. And that's that sometimes it's difficult and sometimes it's hard to confront those very heavy and painful things, but it's the path to the truth and like the real person that I am, and that's what I'm interested in. So yeah, I wanted to share this with you guys. I don't know if you can relate in any way. I'm sure many of you can. I hope you find it interesting, even though it was a bit messy and a bit long as well. I have missed talking to you like this. I really appreciate having those discussions with you. So let me know what you think, if you have anything to share, any experience, or if you can relate in any way. It would be really interesting to know how you feel about the matter. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye!